I mean, what do you think is the reason why people aren't choosing the profession? So at the minute, what do you think?
Yeah.
Because I've got a few ideas, but what do you think it is that is is making it not attractive?
I'd be keen to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
I think it's partly the wider pressures and that schools are asked to do a lot that goes beyond teaching. And I want teachers and school leaders to be focused on that and not having to do quite so much around wider kind of societal issues where I think that's where
Mm,
government come in. I think there is a question about flexibility and that especially in areas like maths and science where people have other options, there are more flexible options that can include home working and therefore teaching is becoming less attractive. I think there is also something about the retention of I appreciate there's a retention point, but I think feeds through into the recruitment challenge as well around people who find it's just too hard to combine teaching with family life.
yeah.
And I know that there are examples of some trusts around the country who are thinking about how they might respond to that creatively. But I think we have to have a big conversation about how we recognize that there are other options that are available to people, especially post pandemic. I mean, I think the problems, as you said, in a range of ways, the problems were there before the pandemic, but there are other routes and other options that people now have. And particularly
Mm,
where you've got a different, you particularly say at a primary level where you've got a predominantly female workforce, thinking about how you manage that workload, family pressures that are forcing lots of women in their 30s and 40s to leave teaching altogether, having just got to the point where they're most confident in what they're doing and have really built
yeah.
up that well expertise, is a tragedy. I mean, it's a tragedy for them, but it's a tragedy for our education system. But you can tell me what you think the challenges
Um,
are.
I think the flexibility thing you mentioned there, I think, is a big one. I think post-pandemic now, when so many jobs and careers allow for that hybrid way of working, the current educate or the current model of edu does not allow that. I mean, obviously you've got the holidays, but speaking to some of my friends who work in other industries, the flexibility of when they do have a child, oh well, I can take a day home, I take a day working from home, and that becomes and I've heard of so many teachers leaving the profession taking jobs that are less paid but gives them that flexibility to be more present if they've got children or just so I think that's one of the reasons.